Good morning, everybody. So I did session 10 of inner dance yesterday, and it was a facilitation with my grandmother. It was quite interesting how willing she was, because I saw she wanted to support me, or that's what it seemed like. So I just asked her, like, can I do a session with you, and then you give me a review, a testimonial. So she's almost 70 years old. She's 69 years old. So we laid her down on the ground, like we had some pillows and stuff, but because of her skeleton, because of her aches, her pains, she was very uncomfortable. So for next time, like, bring a yoga mat for sure. So she lay down and just closed her eyes. I didn't tell her anything, just told her, close your eyes and just relax and give yourself over to the process. Just breathe, just lay down and breathe. So as soon as she lay down her breath, I started music, and yeah, like the previous times, like I close my eyes and just breathe into my belly, and it's like my brain is like tuning into a frequency, and I feel an energetic shift happening, and all of a sudden it's like I'm in this trance. So I'm gonna open my eyes and I'm guided towards her body. So with working with her body, or with this process, I noticed because of her age, there was so much density, or it felt like that. It felt like there was so much there. So like working on her feet, working on her waist, working on her chest, working on her eyes, working on her head. Also, I knew her complaints and ills, right? So sometimes thoughts about that would come up. Sometimes I would put my hand underneath her back. Like, all in all, it was quite nice. And my cat was also in the room, and it was so funny sometimes, like during the process, like I looked over, and like underneath the table, the cat was like lying upside down, and like really like looking, like really intensely looking. Sometimes he was looking like next to me, as if he was seeing something, or maybe it seemed like that, but it was it was very funny. So I felt very like strange doing it for my grandmother, because because of the relationship. It felt like almost that some part of me wanted to contract, or not contract, but I didn't want to express certain sounds, or didn't want to make too much sound. So whenever I wanted to flute or make home or chant, there was like almost like a sense of like wanting to suppress it a little bit, because because of my relationship with her, because I don't want to freak her out or something. Yeah, I'll have to investigate that. So also during the process, she kept opening her eyes so often, like opening her eyes. And towards the end, she was like, when is it gonna end? When is it gonna end? Because she was feeling very uncomfortable lying on the ground. Yeah, she, like, I asked her, like, what did you think? What was it like for you? She was like, well, the music was way too loud. Like, if you use that kind of music, she's like, it was very like, it was too much. And it was also like causing irritation. So she said, like, if you use that kind of music in the future, do it calmer. Now, my partner also told me this, like, that the music can be a bit much. So that's a tip that I can learn, especially when working with very sensitive people. Also, what I noticed was when working with her body, because of the density, it was like, when you have a body in front of you, and it's like subtle. It's supple. It's very supple. It's very like bendy. It's very like relaxed and gushy and muy, almost like you can press into it. You can, yeah, it's very movable. With her, with the body, there was this feeling of like so dense, so heavy, so I don't want to say like stone, but it felt like that almost, like that's what's coming up now. But this can all be projection of my mind. But she was just lying there, and like her hands were like lying like this, and whenever I turned her hands, it was like, it wasn't like very smoothly or easily. I had like really flip it over. And then yeah, honestly it feels sometimes like it's almost like Reiki, because I don't know if this is maybe perhaps again me interpreting the process, but I've done a Reiki course, one Reiki course, level 1, and what we do there, right, it feels like the same. So sometimes during the process with my grandmother, like there would be like, I would be standing over her and my hands would be like guiding the energy or pulling something out of her at certain spots. Like there was like this leaning in, going in, connecting with something, and then pulling it out. And I felt like it was like then creating an atmosphere of silence, or starting to clap as to disperse the energy that was released. At certain moments she made like these sounds like so at this point my mind isn't like too much focused on whether something's happening or not. There's a trust that's building, but still it's very like mysterious to me, the process. I'm still learning through all the modules from the training, so I'm still filling in all the mechanics of how it works. So she said, you know what I noticed though? You have really warm hands, like really warm hands. Your hands were really warm. She's like, when I put my hands on my body, it doesn't feel, I don't feel the temperature that much. But when your hands were on me, it felt really warm. And I noticed that whenever my hands were being laid, like I'm not choosing to lay my hands somewhere. It's like there's this, when you're in this trance, it's like intuitively your hands just want to be laid on the feet, like this, or like this, or like here, or like here. And then like the eyes are closed, and then sometimes an image comes that there's energy from the earth going through the body and through the hands into her, or sometimes from the sky, the energy going in through the hands into her. So it's like, it does feel like it's like my body or my consciousness is using Reiki technique with the inner dance process. Because in inner dance, like, yeah, it's like your hands are being used to guide the energy, or to restructure or realign something, to make a shift happen. It was yeah, it was fun. it was a great learning experience. Next time I'm gonna do a session with my mother. She's in a wheelchair. She had a stroke last year. All of a sudden in September, she had like she was on holiday in Germany, and all of a sudden she was at a party, and like the way it was told, she just fell unconscious, and then she was rushed to the hospital. And yeah, she had a blood clot in her brain, and then they used like anticoagulants, and then a bleeding started. So they had to cut open her scalp to drain it out. And it was a whole ordeal. Like it was quite intense for her. So now she's in a wheelchair. So yeah, I'm wondering how it's gonna be for her. What I notice with people is like there's a sensitivity. Like I'm like working with a friend of mine, with another woman who does energy work. You notice their energy becomes alive during the process. They're sensitive to it. While somebody like my grandma, who's never working with these kind of tools before, probably because she told me that she went to a hypnotherapist session once, and they tried, but she couldn't get through to her. My grandmother, she's like, you know, some people, they're very open, they're very light with their energy. My energy is really strong, so it's like there's like a barrier. That's what she said. So yeah, I wonder if in the future we're gonna do more sessions together with her, if something is gonna shift, or it's gonna change for her, the experience. Afterwards, we also drew a couple of tarot cards, and it's very cute. It's very cute to see, because they're from a different generation, different upbringing. I was brought up in Belgium, they were brought up in Ukraine. So when you see that difference of how they relate to everything, how they judge or theorize or make conclusions about things, it's very different. Yeah, she told me basically, your hands were very warm, music was way too loud, and the thing that she also told me was like, do you really want to do this? Like, why would you want to do this? Like, do you really need this? Because she's like, you know, right? Like, when you do like this energy kind of work, you can take things on you. It's like, if people have some kind of issues, like, aren't you afraid that you can take those things, energetic issues, on yourself? Now, honestly, I know in Reiki, Sadhguru, he talked about it, that in Reiki it probably can happen, because you're working with energetic structures, like, perhaps, I don't really know for sure. And I don't know if it in inner dance, like the way my teacher explained it to me, it's like an inner dance, because you're working from the heart and you're not working with an intentionality, like I am a healer who's gonna heal the healee. There's no identity. So if you're just open and the energy, the field, the energy is using you to do what is needed with the other person, there's no doer doing anything. So there's no, let's say, karma being created, because there's only karma when there's a doer. If somebody is doing something, then there's a person who's held accountable for the consequences because he has made certain choices. But if you're just open and you don't intend, you don't will, you don't force, you don't try to get certain result, you're open to the infinite possibilities, and you allow the field, the creative intelligence, the divine to work through you. You open yourself up like a vessel for the expression of consciousness, or a vessel for love, then whatever's needed to happen, it happens. And because it's not you doing it, there's no repercussions or accountability to you, because you didn't do anything. You were just a channel, a tube for energy to come through and to do what was needed, what the person was ready for. But I will clarify that. I will ask that to my teacher. Like, I noticed that working with my grandmother, like, it was such quite a difference, like, to see how still she laid down, and like every couple of minutes opening her eyes, gleaning at me, looking at me, saying things like, when is it over? And somewhere, like, I don't know if this is correct or not, it felt like it's like wanting to control, right? And I told her many times, like, just close your eyes, relax, and breathe through it. I even at a certain point, I put the volume of the music a little bit down, but she still kept doing it. So guess she couldn't let go of control fully. That's her process. I learned to make better preparations in terms of when working with older people, like, make it as comfortable as you can for them. And also for the music, like, maybe next time I'm gonna play some music like in the middle, and just ask them, is this too loud for you? Is this not too loud for you? Just as to gauge whether or not they can handle it, because maybe it's too distracting for them. And yeah, as far as the other things go, I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to learn how this will evolve. I'm also definitely gonna investigate this thing, like this self-suppression, like, because she was my grandmother. Like, sometimes I wanted to not shout, but like make certain noises, and it was like, you know, it's my grandma. And there was a suppression mechanism going on. Yeah. it was a beautiful session. Yeah, a lot of energy streaming, a lot of energy moved. So she said afterwards she had a headache during the day before, and afterwards there was less headache. So yeah, we'll see how that, like, I'll ask her for a testimonial, and we'll see what she says. It was funny at certain points, you know, just sitting there and you're holding the feet, or you're holding the any body part, her neck, her head, and it just, like, sometimes it's like when the energy is like moving through you, sometimes my breath would like almost like stop, and I would be in this spaciousness, and there would be like this dimensional shift where I could feel all of a sudden the emptiness inside of her body, and I would feel the contents of her body. It was like a scan or something that was happening inside. I could feel a certain emotion or a certain kind of temperament or some kind of thing in the body. It was very interesting to notice those different things. Also, a neat trick that our teacher taught us that really helped was, like, if you don't know where to go, or if you're just still, and if you want to reconnect with the process, you just take the heartbeat of the person who's lying on the ground and just hold it. And it's like whenever there's a heartbeat, there's also the stillness in between, like contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. And like if you tune into that beat, like intuitively, your body will like intuitively connect and start a new process, a new movement. It's like connecting on another level. It's very neat, and it works. As soon as I did that, after doing that for a minute, there was just like this new like intuition to work with other things. There was a lot of like extracting like energetic structures or energetic forms from her body. Yeah, really grateful for the experience. Like when she said that though, about, you know, taking on karma or taking on things upon yourself, I thought about it. I was like, could it be? Could it be? Like I had that not worry, but that thought, like, could it be? I wonder, like, am I just doing Reiki now? Or is this like the inner dance process? Or is it intermingled? All these questions need to ask my teacher. Okay, yeah, thank you. It's really wonderful.